frisk before we get in there. There's usually not many people here. There's only parking for a few, and they don't take it up very much.
All right, we'll walk up there. So you're gonna give us
live here?
Yeah, we're live. I'm gonna stay live through the whole thing.
My ability to explain is limited, but I know the truth.
Hold on, don't start yet. Yeah. There's nobody in here yet. Yeah. Hello, people. Where you at, people?
Well, we will go through this.
All right, there we go. We got somebody in here. All right, tell everybody.
All right, welcome to Benbrook, Texas. We're here at the council meeting, hoping to get some answers. I've been 2 years now without getting any answers, and unfortunately, a lot of obfuscations, big word there, and that's just saying they're lying about events that have happened here. I'm looking for transparency, honesty, answers. It started off with my being detained without reason, and I've sought body camera. They've created these ridiculous reasons to not give me body camera, as if they don't have the reason that the AG has accepted.
This is Terry Roach. I'll throw his name in the live, put his link in the chat. Keep going, Terry Roach.
They do not have the technological ability to redact video. I know you're an expert in that area, and I think we should find a way. I'm all about transparency. The council's core values are governing with high character, being inclusive and communicative with citizens, and that's not happening. I'm still hopeful for a resolution, but 2 years on, we're not getting in that direction. We're going in the opposite direction. I protested here on this property. I've been given a criminal trespass warning if I come back. My protests, the reasons they gave to a municipal judge who upheld their warning were filled with lies. One thing they said in here, that I was blocking designated spaces. There are no designated spaces.
So they've actually threatened to arrest you if you come back here.
That's right. I came here for this meeting. They said I made veiled threats. I've done no such thing. And the language that the attorney uses, he accosted people, he made them feel uncomfortable, unsafe. And certainly if the truth makes people feel uncomfortable and unsafe, then I'm guilty of that.
You guys, this man has videos on his YouTube channel where he comes down here and embarrasses the chief of the police and the mayor. He's not embarrassing little cops. He's going, and right. They won't talk to him. They won't answer his questions, and he makes them look absolutely stupid, man. This is Terry Roach. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, please.
But he's going to go in there.
He's trip over my words.
He's got a speech.
The problem is leadership here.
Yeah.
And, just if you can't get answers and you can't get a body camera, that speaks volumes right there. Silence speaks volumes. So we'll go in here, and during the citizen comments, I'll again point out some of the things that are just problems here in Benbrook. We deserve much better, the citizens.
So they have a metal detector we got to go through?
Do. It's a wand. Yep.
Oh, okay. I just realized I have mace in my pocket. They're
stored in bushes.
I'm gonna stash my mace in the bushes, you guys. They're not gonna let me bring that in here. All right, we're going in. They have threatened this man. Don't you ever come back here, or you're going to jail unlawfully. I've actually done a First Amendment audit here where they completely ignored me for the whole 30 minutes I was here, but I haven't posted it to YouTube yet. Oh God, it's cold out here.
Oh, it's old school, but thank you. Keeps me warm. Nothing like a wolf.
So what I need to empty all my pockets out?
Yeah, that'd be good. Thank you.
What, just all metal?
Yeah. You wanna write this in?
What am I supposed to put all my stuff in?
You can just put it right here.
I got a battery pack, a charger.
No rush, we got plenty.
Keys. All right, that should be good.
I appreciate it. Any metal in your pocket right here?
No. All right, man.
I'll let you choose.
Huh?
I'll let you in a good spot here.
Where do you want to sit?
You got your choice here. There aren't too many of the comfortable chairs back here in the back.
I'll sit in the back, where I can document everything.
Let's see. All right.
Signed in for your speech yet?
I have not. You just on the informal citizens, you can just come up and get that. All right here.
So what was your when they arrested you?
Yeah, I was not arrested. So,
Oh, what are you even trying to get body camera footage
from
of?
a detainment.
Oh, okay. All right, perfect.
So, and that's the thing. I spoke with the Tyrant County Commissioner's Court.
Yeah.
And really, we see that time and time again. And Edward Brown, are you familiar with the reporter with Fort Worth Weekly?
Yeah.
He's covered my case and some others. And if there's the AG has some real loopholes that they exploit. If it doesn't result in a conviction, and there's another one, and like I said, they've used the excuse that they don't have the technological capability to redact video, which is, an '80s era excuse. And there's another one off the tip of my tongue. But if you're not beaten, tased, or have a physical confrontation, they can withhold body camera video from you. And the AG turns a blind eye toward that.
Government Code 552.
Yeah, you're going to know better than I do. But you've gotten some body camera video, and I don't. And right
Bunches
now,
of it.
Fort Worth is looking at having a police oversight. And here in a small town like Benbrook, the police investigate themselves. There's no recourse. There's no state agency that someone can turn to. So in my case, they said, oh, the officers acted unprofessionally. They weren't courteous, but nothing else untoward happened. And I said, well, if that's the case, release the body camera video. And the real issue that I haven't said is I did a FOIA request for the officers' reports, and this was in response to a complaint. So the complaint was that they committed the crime of official oppression. So it was an official criminal investigation by a commander of BPD, and in a document they filed, the two officers, in response to my complaint, documents submitted as part of a criminal investigation, they fabricated this story about, we suspected him of stealing from a construction site, and that's why we held him for 20 plus minutes, told him to stay on the ground the whole time, and never investigated anything that he said. I said, it's trash, right here, there's no, and if you look at the body camera video, anyone who's seen it, and our city manager has seen it, he admits there's no construction site there.
Yeah.
So we're fabricating a lie to justify an unlawful detainment.
Yeah.
And as Carolina reported on her video, she said, this guy was just looking for an apology. And that's what I looked for. Nobody's perfect. They made mistakes.
No.
But they've doubled down in lying to cover for those mistakes. And now it's escalated to a threat for a citizen who comes up and says, hey, this isn't right. I expect more from my municipal government. So we, are now facing this 2 years later. And it's a real travesty. I've never thought I'd run for elected office, but I'm announced right now. I'm going to put my name in the hat here. I don't expect to win, but I'll definitely provide.
Hey, you'd be surprised, man. You'd be surprised if you put your name on the damn. People are tired of the same old people. They'll vote for a new name just because it's a new name.
Right, and I have no special talents, and the body camera video, I'm not at my best there, but we're honest, open, transparent, and we own up to mistakes. And here they're saying, no, you're the problem, and that's why we're still here 2 years later.
2 years later, and they just won't. They refuse to be transparent.
Right. Yeah.
Uh-oh. Man, my phone is acting weird, man.
So you can look at this real quick. I don't want to make too much of a formal speech.
You guys, if you check out his channel, man, when he shows up and asks questions, they run from him. The mayor, the chief of police, they look so foolish. I was the first subscriber on your YouTube channel. I binged watched your YouTube channel in one day. I can't believe it hadn't caught traction better than it has. All right, here they come. Now they threaten this man. If you ever come back here, you're going to jail.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. And here we are. All these politicians are scared to death of this guy right here. Look at his YouTube channel. They run from him when he shows up. Here we go.
at 7:30. We'll call this meeting to order. Welcome to the Benbrook City Council regular meeting, Thursday, February 16th. We'll start with an invocation tonight with Reverend Father Kenneth M. Mullen with St. Thomas Becket Catholic Church, and we'll follow that with the pledge.
Our help is in the name of the Lord, who made heaven and earth. Let us pray. Almighty and ever-living God, who made all things and governs all things, God of power and might, wisdom and justice, through you authority is rightly administered, laws are enacted, and judgment is decreed. Assist us with your spirit of counsel and fortitude, and assist the leaders and authorities in this city of Benbrook. May they always seek the ways of righteousness, justice, and mercy. Grant that they may be enabled by your powerful protection to lead our community in honesty and integrity. We ask this through Christ our Lord. Amen.
Amen. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The agenda item tonight will be citizen comments on any of tonight's agenda items. During our comment section, anybody who wishes to speak will approach the microphone and state their name and address, and you will be limited to 3 minutes on tonight's comments. Would anybody wish to speak this evening?
No.
I don't see anybody that wishes to speak on an agenda item tonight. So we will move on to the next agenda item. Will be to approve the minutes of the regular meeting held on January 19th, 2023. Council, what's your pleasure on this item? Dr. Marshall?
Yes, sir, Mayor, I'd like to make a motion, City Council approve the minutes of the regular meeting held on January 19th, 2023.
Thank you for that motion. Do we have a second? Mr. Phillips?
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to second that motion.
The motion is second. Council, any further discussion? No, we'll take a vote. We approve of those minutes. Motion carries unanimously. All right, our next agenda item will be a presentation by Planning and Zoning Commission. This will be a lengthy description. We're considering the adoption of ordinance amending Title 17, doing some language cleanup and things on certain items. This will be the zoning of the Benbrook Municipal Code by amending Chapter 17.08 definitions, 17.20 districts, district boundaries, and district uses, 17.28 SD suburban district, 17.22 RE residential estate district, 17.36 A one family district, 17.40 B one family district, 17.44 BR one family reduced district, 17.48 CR multiple family restricted district, 17.52 C multiple family district, 17.54 D multiple family district, 17.78 NAS overlay district, 17.79 Benbrook Boulevard Corridor Overlay District, 17.84 Supplementary District Regulations, 17.88 Parking and Vehicular Circulation Regulations, 17.96 Fence Regulations, 17.98 Landscape and Buffer Requirements, and last but not least, 17.100 Non-conforming Uses. Mr. Jim Hinderacker will have a presentation for us on these items. Follow that with a public hearing where citizens will have an opportunity to make comments. Mr. Hinderacker, the floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I'm going to start this with a kind of general overview. The purpose of this text amendment really is to correct some typographical errors, some code figure elements that conflict with the actual text of the Benbrook Municipal Code, also to correct some erroneous code references to other code sections within the Benbrook Municipal Code, and to also ensure that the Benbrook Municipal Code is in keeping with state statutes. There's also some changes to the zoning use tables affecting residential accessory uses, and we'll go into a little bit of detail about that in my presentation. Daycares, temporary residential sales offices, and then finally the text amendment will establish setback standard for side entry garage doors, the sound attenuation reduction standard for some additional land uses in the Needle Air Station or the NES overlay district, increase the maximum height standard for non-residential fence, and then reaffirm the landscaping tree canopy requirements for all non-residential developments. On January 12 of this year, the Planning Commission reviewed and recommended approval of these particular text amendments that are included in this ordinance. And following the public hearing this evening, council can choose to accept the recommendations of P&Z and approve the text amendments as presented, or you can act on only a portion of those, or quite frank, none of the elements contained in the actual text amendment. At this point in time, I want to go over each one of these in a little more detail. So starting with chapter 17.20.070, the use tables of Title 17 of the Benbrook Municipal Code. Standalone residential accessory uses, and by that I'm referring to construction and use of like a pool or a storage building or a detached garage as a permitted use by right without the establishment of a principal use is currently allowed in the residential estate zoning district and by conditional use permitted in the single family A, B, and BR zoning districts. The text amendment would disallow or prohibit those standalone accessory uses in those residential zoning districts. The primary purpose of that is obviously making sure that the principal use is in place for any accessory uses. So that's the nature of that text amendment. Moving on to the use tables regarding daycare as an accessory use. The existing regulations allow standalone daycares, very similar to the accessory uses that I just mentioned, to operate as a principal use for right within any single family zoning district, and also by conditional use permit within the multifamily and community facilities zoning district. Daycare facilities currently that are more than 12 children are not allowed. And quite frank, I think that is an error within our use tables. When you look at the balance of the code, the text, it doesn't really match up. So this would be a correction that I think is necessary. The text amendment would specifically prohibit daycare uses as a principal use by right in the single family zoning district and by conditional use permit in the multifamily zoning district. But it would permit daycare uses as a principal use by right in commercial and more intense zoning district categories and by conditional use permit within the community facilities zoning district. It also establishes a daycare use when you have 6 or less children as a permitted accessory use by right in all single family residential zoning districts, which is more in keeping with state law. 6 or less doesn't require any special licensing with the state. Moving on to the office temporary residential sales of the 17.20.070 tables of uses. The existing regulations allow for the placement of a temporary residential sales office, specifically a portable building within its related subdivision. And this text amendment would disallow that and only allow a sales office in a model home. That's pretty standard in terms of the subdivisions that we've had where they have a model home in place, and this would not allow a portable building to be placed in instead. Moving on, chapter 17.28.030H through 17.54.030.H as applicable. This relates to all of the different zoning districts that are single family and multifamily. Currently, the Benbrook Municipal Code is silent regarding setback standards for garage doors that are non-front. And so we really haven't had an issue with that with traditional homes where you had the front entry style garage because the setback was from the front property line, but we're seeing a lot of homes now being built with a side entry garage door or J-swing style door, and we want to make sure there's sufficient room for obviously the homeowner to access that garage. And so the text amendment would establish a 20-foot setback between the garage door, and we specifically said over 6 feet, so it wouldn't apply to like a residential garage access door, but only the wider garage doors for vehicles and any property line that garage door faces. Moving on, chapter 17.78, this is the NAS, or the Naval Air Station Overlay District portion of the text amendments. The NAS Overlay District was actually established by City Council in 2008, and it was amended in 2012 and 2013. And the purpose of that overlay district was to restrict land uses that was deemed incompatible with the long-term viability of the Naval Air Station Joint Reserve Base. Specifically, what the language says is that new residential development would be disallowed following the adoption of the code sections that I've got listed here. But it does allow if there was an existing vacant lot in place, or if there was an existing home or an apartment that was damaged in some way, it does allow for that home to be built on the vacant lot, or the existing home or apartment to be rebuilt if there was some damage associated with that. In addition, it requires there be a minimum of 25 decibel noise abatement for schools, religious institutions, museums, libraries, and fine arts centers. So that's what the current language says. The graph to the right of the text, it's a little hard to see, but this is the Naval Air Station Joint Reserve Base, the noise contour map. If you can see the purple color on the bottom of that graphic, and a little bit to the, just above that to the left, there's another little spot that's purple in it. That's actually the area inside the city limits that where the overlay district applies. I'll get a little better graphic of that in a moment. But we're inside the 65 noise decibel area that is in place. And so the base is looking for municipalities to create an overlay district and standards that ultimately would be conducive for the working at the air base. And so that's the purpose of the overlay itself. Moving down, the text amendment would establish a sound attenuation reduction of at least 25 decibels for these following additional uses. So that we want to include healthcare facilities, daycares, government installations, safety services, and any indoor components of outdoor recreational uses. And this graphic shows the two overlay districts. There's actually three. There's a really small one that's very difficult to see between the two of them. But you can see those overlay districts that were established by previous action of this council. And then moving on, there is a code correction reference correction that we want to make. This is section 17.79.060B.2.E. Regarding the placement of temporary banner signs. The code erroneously references section 17.92.050.E5 of the code, and the text amendment provides the correct code section reference as section 17.79.050F of the Benbrook Municipal Code. And then we have a correction here in order to adhere to state law. The 87th legislative session, Senate Bill 398, disallowed or no longer allow municipalities to prohibit or restrict the installation of solar energy device, solar panels by residential or small commercial customers. And so we're obviously wanting to make sure that our regulations are consistent with that language. And so that's what this amendment is. And then moving on to chapter 17.88, parking and vehicle circulation regs, and we do have a correction here in terms of the code reference. We're wanting to remove the language that says under paragraph A above and replace that with as listed within table 17.88.010 of the Benbrook Municipal Code. And we have a couple of typographical errors here. The current language says extend, and it should say extent. And then the following section, they're omitting the section itself is missing 0, and it should read 17.88.050. And so we're asking for that correction. And then chapter 17.96, fence regulations. That section currently regarding fence dimensions limits the maximum height of most fences to 8 feet. There are some exceptions to that for fencing backstops for tennis, basketball, and other sports activity. You can have a much taller fence than that. But other sections of the Benbrook Municipal Code require a minimum height fence to be at least 8 feet. So you've got a maximum and a minimum. And when you've got a property that has some varying topography, it's very difficult to have exactly 8 feet. And so staff is recommending that we have a text amendment to allow the height of the required minimum 8-foot non-residential fence to range between 8 feet and 10 feet and provide for that flexibility. And then moving on to chapter 17.98, landscape and buffer requirements. The opening applicability statement of this section erroneously omits the requirement of landscaping and tree canopy requirements for non-residential development within the municipal boundaries of the city. It just says residential. And clearly that is not the intent. Other sections of the code, it's pretty clear that it would apply to everything. And so we're seeking a text amendment here that would clean that language up, and so that it would read the following requirement shall apply to all development within city limits. And then moving on to 17.9, landscape buffer requirements. We did have an issue with our buffer yard graphics and the required planning standards. And so I've got an example of that. I know it's kind of hard to see, but you've got the text that's associated with the landscape and buffer requirements, and there are some figures that are included within that. And I think over the years, we've had some amendments to the text, and the figures didn't follow suit. And so we want to make sure the language is consistent with those figures that are included in the Benbrook Municipal Code. So that text amendment would correct those inconsistencies. And then we have a typographical error with the first sentence of section 17.100.070 regarding non-conforming uses. We've got a misspelling there. It should be the word title. And so we're wanting to fix that. And as I mentioned, on January 12th, the Planning and Zoning Commission did review and recommend that the City Council move to adopt the zoning ordinance text amendments as presented. And with that, I'd answer any questions you might have.
Thank you for that report, Mr. Benbrook. Council, you have an opportunity to ask me questions. You've had a chance to read through these different amendments that have been brought forward by planning and zoning. Before we open the public hearing, does any council member have any questions? Ms. Franklin?
Can I ask that now, the clerk? So I'm back on the daycare. Could you go back over that for 1 second? To make sure I understand fully and the citizens understand fully what that means. So I'm gonna say it in simple words if I have it wrong, just make sure. Basically, that means somebody can't have a house and just use it for a daycare facility. They have to live in the house and use it as a daycare facility?
That's correct. Currently, the language would allow a daycare to be set up in a house with no one living there. Just really run a daycare business out of that home. But the text amendment would disallow that as a use, as a standalone use. You have to live in the home in order to have that accessory daycare use.
And then if it's under 6, they don't have to be permitted. If it's over 6, they have to be permitted?
Yes, under 6, there would not be anything required by the city. If it's over 6, it's actually, the state requires additional licensing, registration, those kind of things. That's outside of any city.
Any further questions? Seeing none, so at this time, we will open a public hearing. In this hearing, any citizen that wishes to speak, share their thoughts and opinions, make any comments about this, supporting or opposing, you have the opportunity to come up to the podium for 3 minutes and share your comments. Would any citizen wish to speak? I see nobody wishing to speak for the public hearing, so at this time we will close the public hearing. And I'll be looking for a motion from the council. Dr. Marshall?
Yes, Mayor, I'd like to make a motion, the City Council approve adopt the zoning ordinance text amendments as presented.
Thank you for that motion. Do we have a second? Mr. Addison?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to second the motion.
We have a motion and a second. Council, any further discussion on this item before we vote? Okay, please proceed. Motion carries unanimously. Our next agenda item will be reports from city manager to consider adopting ordinance amending section 10.40.010.a of chapter 10.40 of title 10 vehicles and traffic of the Benbrook Municipal Code 1985 by establishing a no parking, standing, or stopping zone at any time on a portion of Bel Air Drive. And Mr. Henderoff, you have a report for us as well?
Yes, thank you, Mayor, Council. We have a situation, we have limited sight visibility for the northbound motorists at the stop sign on Crosslands Road at the intersection of Bel Air Drive and the northeast portion of our city. On this photo, you can see where we've got a motorist that will be stopped at that stop sign. And it's very difficult to see the eastbound traffic. To improve this condition, staff proposes the establishment of no parking and standing or stopping zone at any time on the south side of Bel Air Drive between Crosslands Road and Fox Trail, as it's shown on the graphic there where the yellow line is at. And with that, staff recommends the city council amend the section 10.40.010.A of Benbrook Municipal Code by adding paragraph 18 designating the south side of Bel Air Drive between Crosslands Road and Fox Trail as a no parking, standing, or stopping zone at any time. Answer any questions you might have.
Thank you for that report. Council, any questions for Ms. Underocker? Ms. Franklin?
Yes, Mr. Underocker, I just wanted to clarify so that citizens are aware that this was coordinated and communicated with the apartment complex that is there that abuts that section of the road, correct?
Yes, our city engineer took the lead on that and did have a conversation with the management team at that apartment complex on the south side of between Fox Trail and Crosslands.
And were they supportive or hesitant, or were they?
They were supportive of the request.
Thank you so much.
Council, any further questions? We're looking for a motion. Mr. Tyner?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll make a motion that the city council amend section 10.40.010.A of the Benbrook Municipal Code by adding paragraph 18 designating the south side of Bel Air Drive between Crosslands Road and Fox Trail as a no parking, standing, or stopping zone at any time.
Thank you for that motion. Do we have a second? Ms. Franklin?
I'll second that, sir.
Thank you, council members. Any further discussion? Would you please vote on this agenda item? Motion carries unanimously. All right, our next section will be on contracts. The first will be to consider awarding the West Park Drive and Timber Creek Road reclaim contract to Texas Bit. Bennett, how do we report on this one?
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council. Just kind of give you a background. This is part of the Tarrant County Transportation Bond Program. In January 21, Tarrant County had a call to municipalities for bond-funded transportation projects. And in April of 21, for Resolution 2021-4, our City Council approved the submittal package to Tarrant County. In November of 21, the Tarrant County bond was approved by the voters. And then following the review and ranking by Tarrant County, city's West Park Drive and Timber Creek Road reclamation projects were selected for funding at a 50% cost share. In December of 22, City Council approved the interlocal with Tarrant County for this project. And here is the project map. The West Park is in blue. It'll be the portion of West Park that is asphalt. And then yellow is the Timber Creek project. West Park will be from RN 2871 to Lake Lane Drive. Before we can start that project, Benbrook Water Authority has to replace a water line. It's scheduled to be completed by May of this year. And we're also scheduled that project when the school is out, so we don't have to worry about construction interfering with school. The Timber Creek Road project will go from the bridge to Timberline Drive. The project funding from Tarrant County will be in the third and fourth quarters of 2023. Texas Bit will be the contractor. We were able to contract the work with Texas Bit via interlocal agreement with Ellis County. The city has approved previous street overlay contracts with Texas Bit in 21, 22, and 23. And we also use an interlocal with Tarrant County to purchase the asphalt to save money. Recommendation is the staff recommends that City Council award the reclaim contract for West Park Drive and Timber Creek Road to Texas Bit for $1,240,928. Well, that half of that the city will be responsible. but I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Howell. Council, any questions for Mr. Howell on this item?
Thank you, Mr. Howell, for your presentation. We talked about when West Park is gonna be done, when will Timber Creek be done? What's this?
It'll be done at the same time.
Same time.
So they don't have to mobilize a second time.
Perfect, thank you. And with that, I'd like to go ahead and make the motion that we award the reclaim contract for West Park Drive and Timber Creek to Texas Fit as presented this evening.
Thank you for that motion. Do we have a second, Mr. Heston?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to go ahead and make a second on that motion.
Sir, the motion and a second, any further discussion? Please take a vote on that. Motion carries unanimously. Our next contract to consider awarding will be the milling contract to Texop Construction LP, and Mr. Allen, follow up on this one as well, please.
Yes, Mayor, this is another contract for our asphalt overlay program. This will be in conjunction with Tarrant County Forces doing a portion of the overlay project. The milling is removing of the deteriorated asphalt, which would be the first step in overlaying an asphalt street. The first 2 inches are removed, and then the milled asphalt will be recycled into the asphalt plant into new asphalt. Here's all the mill and overlay streets the city is proposing to do this year. The streets in red are the one Texas Bit's gonna be doing, and the one in blue are the ones that Tarrant County's gonna be doing. And this milling contract is for the ones in Tarrant County. And the ones Tarrant County are gonna be doing are the ones at the table, Waterwood Trail from 183 to Bel Air, Thornhill from Windward to Lombardi Terrace, Lombardi Terrace from Crosslands to Windward Road, Windward from Thornhill to Crosslands, Bounty Road West from Crosslands to Park Lane, Bounty Road East from Bounty Road West to Park Lane, Park Lane from Bounty Road East to Montdale Drive, Montdale Drive from Legend to Bounty Road West. Essentially, we are milling and overlaying almost every street in Montdale region. The city's able to use a purchasing agreement with Tarrant County to award this contract. And Tarrant County, the city approved the overlay interlocal with Tarrant County December 15th, 2022. And the city approved the contract with Texas Fit for this on November 3rd, 2022. So Texas will be the last contract for this particular project. Staff recommends that the city council approve the contract with Texas Construction LP for $80,170. With that, I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you for that report as well, Mr. Howell. Council, any questions? Ms. Franklin?
So just asking the question, when will this be done at the same time? This isn't the same as the other project, is it?
No, ma'am. This is completely separate, and this schedule will be dictated by Tarrant County Forces. They will align all their projects they're doing in Precinct 1 and work it out. But it'll probably be sometime this summer. We also have to wait until Atmos gets off the streets, and they won't be finished in there until May. So it'll be after that.
Thank you for that clarification. Any other questions? Dr. Marshall?
I have no questions, just like to make a motion. City council approve the contract with Texas Construction LP for the $80,170.
Thank you for that motion. Do we have a second? Mr. Phillips?
Sure. Thank you, Mayor. I'll second that motion.
Council, any further discussion? No, final voting item for the night. Motion carries unanimously. Next agenda item will be informal citizen comments. If any citizen would like to speak on any topic, you have the opportunity to approach the microphone and state your name and address, and we have a 3-minute limit on this for each citizen. Would any citizen wish to speak tonight?
All right, here we go.
Thank you. My name is Tyler Garcia. I live at 8455 Drop Time Drive in Benbrook. My husband Josh and I reached out recently to Miss King, and she was very prompt in her response. 44 minutes after I sent an email, she sent me exactly what I needed. Josh and I are part of Benbrook Youth Baseball and Softball Association, and our number one concern is the fields and safety of our children. There are rocks along the baselines, rocks in fields, outfields, and then the second part is drainage. The fields don't drain. There's mud. There's an opportunity for children to slip and fall. Last year, we had mud in front of the dugout where we had to actually lay down towels so that the kids could get in and out. And so it's very important for us to work with you to try to improve the safety of these fields for our kids, but also open up opportunities to host more tournaments. People are leaving Benbrook. They don't want to play in Benbrook, and we're losing revenue off of it. And so that's why Josh and I reached out. I also received a phone call immediately, Ms. King, so thank you for that. 15 minutes after I got her email, I got a phone call. So I do appreciate you guys responding to us.
Thank you for your comments.
Thank you.
Thank you for bringing this to our attention. Any other citizen wish to speak this evening? Sure. Please give you an address and you will set the clock for you for 3 minutes.
And my name is Terry Roach. I see the two people that I'd really like to thank and acknowledge that I was wrong at the last meeting. Mr. Overgard is not here. My prediction that he wouldn't give us any details on the expenditures was wrong. I appreciate him providing those details. We'd like to see more, make that pie chart easy to access rather than the graph on cumulative monthly expenses. And Father Bolden stepped out. I know he's got some good things to do, but I'd like to thank him for offering to help. And I'd like to encourage you to take him up on that. I think he would be a great person to resolve the conflict that continues between us, because I'm on the same in the same boat with him. I'd like to help move things along. And by contrast, I haven't gotten any of those kind of responses, and that's how we solve issues. I'll be a little discombobulated here tonight, but Mr. Hinderaker, I've sent you numerous emails, probably about 8 to 10, would you say? I've never received a response from you. It's a simple question about a no parking. When you look at a street and you can't, visibility, you can't turn left, I've asked you, why not just put a no parking here to corner? Because one of the cars that parks there, and I know you spoke with the management team, and I did as well, but you didn't speak with the residents, and none of the residents I spoke with were in favor of that. And one of them is handicapped, and that placard is there, and it's in the video I sent to you.
Could you direct your comments towards council, please?
My neck needs to be a certain way.
No. Your
Staff is appropriate. They are directed towards you. I do not need to move to look at you while I'm doing that. That's the lack of respect. Please let me continue with my comments, please. So they are directed to you. They are directed to Mr. Hinderaker, and staff is permitted. I've read the rules, which don't include saying your address. Let's follow the rules. There's nothing preventing him from speaking to me right now. And everything I've said is relevant. The instructions that I've sent, or the communication I've sent with him is relevant. And the information you gave on the minutes is not correct. There's no project chart. None of those homes have even been approved. They haven't had even reviewed their applications. You said the project list as a waiting list, they would move up. That's not true. So let's move on. I'm running out of time, and I should have a few extra minutes because I should not be continuously, and I've continuously a couple times now, Mayor Ward, you disrespectfully interrupted me.
Yeah.
I should be able to give a background. The last time I was on the trespassing, how I've experienced it. Let's be respectful. Sit down and have that. Thank you. The 30 seconds, did you say? Yes, sir. Okay, great. Nothing prohibits Mr. Hinderaker, and nothing prohibits Mr. Wayman. And I'm here in large part because of a shameful action of you threatening me with arrest for exercising my rights. I may annoy you. You may not like me as a person, but this is absolutely shameful. And you've procured this order against me by, and I could use language like false claims, but you're lying, and your lawyer is lying. There are no designated parking spaces. Are there designated parking spaces, Mr. Wayman, that I blocked? That's the first thing the lawyer said. We're going up to 30 seconds. Thank you. To 30, please. Thank you. Mr. Wayman, you never asked me. My protest paid off because I was here in part because you weren't responding, just as Mr. Hinderaker did, to 4 formal complaints that I issued. And by being here 7 or 8 times to meet him as he exited his vehicle and said, Mr. Wayman, I'd like you to respond to me, paid off. I got that response. You greeted me with a smile on several occasions, used my first name. You didn't ask me to stop, you didn't ask me to leave. Your lawyer claims that I posted contents of your trash online. Have I ever done that? Speak up when this meeting's over, speak up if I have numerous lies by your lawyer. Let's have an honest, respectful conversation. That's how adults do it. Teachers, you can treat people like this.
Thank you.
Any other citizens wish to speak this evening?
Good job, man.
Good evening.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Lydia Hudson. I'm on Cosby Street. I'm Terry's wife, that I would do tonight, with the pleasure of both of us. Being a public servant is such an important thing, and the job you do is incredibly important. And the job that our police do is such a big deal as well, which is why it really troubles me when I look at police reports and I find lies in them. For instance, there was no construction site when my husband was detained while picking up trash. I know because I was there, and I even called the construction company to find out that construction had indeed ceased by the time he was detained. Yet in the police report, there's 3 mentions of a construction site. That's something that really bothers me as a public servant as well. You spent what, over $18,000 maybe on my husband? I would love to have that money, anything like that to spend on the students that I teach. I'm a teacher and blessed to be a public servant as well. There's no way that as a teacher I could ignore a citizen, nor a parent or a student's questions. There's no way that I could ignore a parent. I have to respond to them. And so as public servants, we all deserve to treat each other with kindness and respect, and to answer even people sometimes we find adorably annoying, to answer their questions. I also would ask you please to release the body cam that you have yet to release. It's been over 2 years and we're still waiting on that. You say you don't have the ability to redact, but I believe most videos can be edited, especially if we had $18,000, we could probably get technology to do that. We can do better, and that starts with more transparency. It also starts with more questions. There were so many things tonight that, because I'm doing an informal comment, wasn't able to come up and also ask. I was so curious as well why a stop sign would not be a great choice rather than no parking from here to corner. So many of the residences' entrance to their apartments are right there on the street. So I'm just curious about why that was chosen when there are other options as well for that neighborhood. I'm also aware that there's $100,000, I believe, that could have been spent in that neighborhood, but instead is not. Again, being a public servant means that you focus on helping as many citizens as possible. We could focus also, there's so many things I think we can do in Benbrook to help people. I'm concerned about our homeless population that seems to just get shuffled around off one property to another as they're given trespass violations. I'm concerned even about little things. There's no trash cans on 377, and so instead people throw their garbage all over the land. I know that the landowners have tried really hard to pick it up, but we can do better. So that's what I'm here to ask you. I'm here to ask you to do better as our city government and public servants. Thank you.
Any other citizen wish to speak this evening? See no others? We'll move on to the next agenda item, which will be council member and staff comments. Any council member have anything to comment on this evening?
Pardon. I just want to let people know some upcoming events in our city. On this Saturday, the Benbrook Library is doing a live stream fundraiser, and that's from 1 to 5 that Saturday. Monday, City Hall will be closed. It's President's Day, so that is an observed holiday. Next Thursday, the 23rd, at our Benbrook YMCA, there's a Love Your Heart Senior Health Fair from 9:30 to 11:30 as well. Coming up in March is the Benbrook Lions Club Chili Supper and fundraiser, and that is on Saturday, March 4th.
Thank you. Council, any other comments this evening? I see none, so with that, we will adjourn at 8:08 p.m.
I love how they interrupted him. They did that just to ruin his speech. So he's going after him.
I answered all your questions. I met for 16 minutes with you in most respects, so if we need, so I can ask some questions of you and just get your perspective on the city, the issues with the city that I have.
And I would ask you why you're unwilling to meet with the citizens. Do you feel a sense of obligation?
You know the answer to that.
I don't know any of your answers.
You know the answer to
I don't. Would you remind me what I don't know?
that. You don't treat people very civilly.
Yeah, so someone, have I said something unkind towards you?
Not me.
So,
That's why I don't want to meet.
Right, so an attitude, that, again, what if a teacher can say that to a parent? I mean, am I not treating you civilly right now? You're telling me that my treatment of someone else, which you won't specify, is your reason for not meeting with a citizen?
I think your treatment of city employees is half over the last 2 years. Horrible. You're lucky that you're still walking. And
What?
I think that, it would be very nice if the city administrator would be there. And maybe the two, city and council sit down and talk. But I think you need a moderator.
Why don't the three of us sit down and
Not
talk?
me, the city.
So what do you mean by, lucky to be walking?
That's what I'm wondering.
When you pop up on somebody on their blind side, like you've done our city manager, okay, you're lucky to be walking. When you pop up behind the police officers in the middle of the night with an arrest and surprise them, you're lucky to be alive.
Sounds like a threat.
That's not right.
You weren't at any of those situations, right? So I'm not sure what you're referring to, and I haven't had a discussion with those people. They can speak for themselves, they're adults. I think Officer Burke will confirm that I've spoken with him in a respectful manner. Officer Rios, Officer Blumenthal, Officer Jones. So I've established rapport with some officers. So you're talking a lot of hearsay about things that you don't really know, but my experience with you is, I'm asking you, have I been uncivil towards you?
No, sir.
Okay, but I have, let's confirm, I have answered your questions that are not relevant to city issues, correct? Is my dad's employment relevant to any city issue?
No, sir. That was when you came for an interview for a board or commission position.
I know that. Again, the question is, have I not answered your questions about my dad's background, a question that has no relevance to the city of Benbrook?
I don't think we asked about your dad.
You asked about, do you not recall? You asked where my dad worked. Do you not recall asking about what degrees I had from my
I did
university
ask
days?
because of your application, that was not clear.
Right, and that's not relevant to city issues, what
It is.
degrees I have. Okay, we can just agree to disagree on that. But I'm asking you, can I have a discussion with you about, not about my treatment of other people, but about city issues? And I'm willing to sit down with a police officer as a moderator.
No, I said no, I'm saying it again.
Yeah, I understand. And so someone will ask me questions, but you won't answer questions from me.
Yeah.
Do you support the right of citizens to have body camera video from their own encounters with police?
You asking me a question, I have no influence on.
I'm asking you, do you support, you have influence over your person, you are a well-educated doctor, you know what your position is, you're just not willing to share it. Again, do you support the right of citizens, you, your family, your loved ones, to have body camera video from their own encounter with police?
I will tell you for the last time, we will not have a discussion because I have the choice as a citizen to not speak with you because of your past history. Belligerent individuals need to calm down and be more respectful of other individuals before they can entertain. I'm not giving another chance.
Was I not respectful during our 16 minutes together?
This is ridiculous, man.
You were very surprising in your interview until you started off on a tangent, and it just blew the whole interview. And I think that was enough conversation for anybody to go through when you started criticizing our police department at that time. And so I would respectfully appreciate it in some way. If the pastor could talk with you and maybe work out some type of civil settlement of your feelings toward the city. I know you have very bitter feelings.
This is ridiculous.
Please don't impute feelings on me, I'm not bitter.
Of all the emails that you send inquiring about things and asking questions.
Let's have a
And
conversation.
obvious answer is there. The city employees cannot respond. Okay. And when you bring people like this around City Hall.
What do you mean people like this? You pointed at me. People like
Pointed
this.
directly at you.
Yeah.
And
What kind of
we
people
have-
am I?
This is recorded all the time. We have recorded meetings.
This is not recorded right now, our conversation.
You said you bring people like this around. You pointed. I'm free press. You got a problem with the free press?
No, I don't have a problem with you,
Well, why'd you point at me and you say you bring people like this around?
because he has.
What's that supposed to mean? I'm insulted now.
You should be.
Why? Explain
Doing
yourself.
what you're doing.
By recording you?
Yes, you're not a press person.
You don't know what the First Amendment is? I've been sitting here
No,
listening.
you're not a press person.
You don't know what the First
You're
Amendment is.
claiming freedom of press.
Okay, because first of all, you've insulted him and told him you're punishing him because you don't like his First Amendment, his ideas and the way he acts. That's his First Amendment. Now you're talking about you don't like me and you're putting a label on me for my First Amendment? You ought to be ashamed of yourself, Larry Marshall, City Council. What kind of trash are you?
What did I say during our meeting that you found objectionable?
You make me sick.
I'm not discussing anymore.
Why don't
They're
you-
recorded.
So you said it.
Meetings are all recorded. You can
I have
listen to them.
Yeah, well, you need to go look
I
up the
don't
First
understand when you
Amendment.
said, have I been inappropriately critical of police?
Good night.
Yeah, you need to take your ass out of here. Move to North Korea, Marshall, if you don't like the First Amendment.
Don't use.
That guy's a traitor. You're a traitor.
And my leg's broken.
He said you're lucky to be walking.
Good night, sir.
Just because he asked questions they don't like, he said you're lucky to be walking. That's
That
why.
is really scary.
And see, this is why I came up
Really
here.
weird.
Hey, appreciate it, man. We'll see y'all later.
Mr. Anderecker, I hope we can get some answers from those questions aren't about your personal life.
This is the reason I came up here, because they told him if he ever comes up here again, he's going to jail. See y'all later. Wow, dude, I cannot believe I just witnessed him say that.
Yeah, that's, you don't get any answers.
That's like what they say in China.
Yes, no answers.
He said you're lucky to be walking.
I'm lucky to be alive.
More than once. It was weird.
I think he said, lucky to be
I
alive.
gotta get my mace out of here. I got my mace inside. I forgot.
That guy was in
Dude,
the
that was
Navy.
crazy. Are we getting an escort?
Oh, they always walk out.
Oh, okay. I just thought they were following us. Wow. Unbelievable. You got anything you want to add to this
Wrap up,
before I end it?
Uh,
Everybody, the reason we came here, to give him a quick run view. He's been trying to get body camera footage for 2 years. They unlawfully detained him, they had you in handcuffs on the
they
ground.
did not. They told me to get on the ground and that if I stood up, I'd be put in handcuffs.
He's been trying to get the body camera footage for 2 years. Go ahead.
It wasn't the worst experience of physical brutality or anything, but there was no reason for them to be there. They got a call from a Karen who said, "Guy stealing from a construction site." The officers knew there wasn't a construction site because they never came up and said, "Hey, are you stealing from the construction site?" They just got a call and used it as a pretext to violate my rights. The call said he's stealing tools. They came up, I had trash. I had no tools. The whole thing was absurd.
He's picked up
and they're
trash
like,
there for years.
"Get down." And at the end, after it lasted about 22 minutes, at the end they're going to release me, but first they photographed the inside of my car.
Yeah.
And on the body camera video, you'll hear the police officer say, and this is right at the height of COVID.
So you've seen the body camera,
I have. We watched
but
it.
they won't let you have it.
That's
won't
right.
let us-
It's
they won't
awful.
let 'em have it.
We
What?
watched it together at the police
And it
chief.
shows that he's right about everything. And they also show that they figure out 7-8 minutes before they release him that of course it's trash, which
And-
anyone could have figured out within 2 minutes.
Right, they're
of
talking
arrival
among
on the
themselves.
scene.
You said their excuse for not letting you have the body camera footage is because it has to be redacted.
They can't
You can
redact
edit
it.
it, yeah.
That's-
the person who reports me is on for like the first minute.
That's ridiculous,
We're talking
man.
About 45 minutes of body camera video. 2 officers, about 22 minutes each.
Dude, they're not going by the rules and the laws here, man.
Well, and then the subsequent police reports, they justified detaining him for a construction site, but I called the construction company. And there was no construction site. It had wrapped up
Yeah.
weeks previous to his being detained on a place where he's picked up trash for years.
We knew it
It's
wasn't there.
insane.
We actually met with the police in March of 2017 to talk about our environmental work on this same exact spot where I was picking up trash.
Which is one of the things I mentioned, that there's no trash cans anywhere in that area. So people just, there's tons of fast food
Yeah.
restaurants. They
Y'all
just-
put Terry Roach's link in the chat. Everybody get over to his channel. He's got everything
I'll add
on his
one more thing if
channel.
I can. At the very end, the worst officer, and these two I've had great experiences with, these officers,
Yeah.
there's some good ones. but this guy is a bad apple. And he says to me at the very end, I can throw you in jail for no reason, basically. He says, if I want to push a charge on you and throw you in jail, I can.
And that's on the body cam.
You want to bet, he says?
I cannot believe he said you bring people like this over here, and he pointed at me. I kept my mouth shut. I didn't say one word, but when he did that, ooh, man, boy, my blood is still boiling.
You've been so awesome.
I can't believe he said you're lucky to be walking. I got it all on video, man.
You kept calm.
All right, we're going over an hour. Did y'all throw his link in there? Let me see.
Okay.
Yeah, they
Thanks
got
for
you.
sitting through a
Terry
boring
Roach,
meeting.
y'all go subscribe to him, man.
Thank you.
Harvey, you're
Watch,
awesome.
look, his videos are awesome, dude, because he comes up here and he makes the mayor look bad. He makes the chief of police look bad. He's not making little cops like these guys look bad. They won't even answer one of his questions. They know they're in the wrong. All right, we're going over an hour, man. I don't want to have a really long live stream.
Thank you, Harvey.
I'm going to end it.
Yeah.
You guys, thanks for joining us.
Yes.
We'll see y'all later. I'll leave.